Okay, out walking the beach today. Not really sure how long I'm gonna go or how far I'm gonna go. It's gonna be on feel, but it's a beautiful day. It's great to be back home. Trying to get myself into an environment that's opposite of flying and hotels and cities, which would be grounded outside. Damn, the waves are huge. Natural surroundings. And as it stands, and one of the reasons I benefit walking is the boosting of creativity that we have. We typically set to rest a lot of the bullshit that we tend to think is important. And a lot of this creative, calming part of the nervous system just starts to come to the forefront, and you just can't stop with ideas. And this particular idea for this video started while I was in DC, Washington, DC, and it's just been oozing out of my pores right now that I gotta record it right now. But something I was a part of, in case you guys didn't know or weren't following any of my previous posts. My father, Tommy John, underwent a surgery in 1974. It was an experimental surgery regarding a torn ligament of his elbow. He was a major league pitcher at the time, and he didn't want to stop playing. So he gave it to the doctors to say, I'm not stopping. Is there anything you can do? And the doctor creatively went in and said, well, there's something we did in polio patients for their ankles to solidify the stiffness of their ankles. We can take a tendon from your body and put it in where the ligament used to be. But I don't have any idea if you'll be able to pitch again. My father, not taking no or the impossible as a truth, goes, great, let's do it. I'll go do my part. And he pitched another 14 seasons after that and became one of the most successful legendary pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball. And while we were out there, the Smithsonian was accepting his cast that he wore post the surgery and putting it inside their vault and in their archives. So it's a piece of American history forever. So proud, couldn't be more prouder of my father and his accomplishments. It was pretty incredible. But of course, because I live by these truths and by principles of human, and they don't shut off when I'm on vacation. They don't shut off when I'm on a tour. They don't shut off when I'm with a certain group of people. They don't ever sit down and be quiet. So I'm sitting here trying to take it in, looking at all these things around me, listening to the way that people are talking about my father, but a patient in the face of medical innovation. That's what this is going to go down for. This might be in an exhibit in the Smithsonian as medical innovation or technological breakthroughs in medicine that have benefited humanity. Again, proud for what he did, but then I'm sitting here listening to the way these people are talking about this story, and it got me thinking. This was only made possible by a couple ingredients that are lacking in attention for humanity right now. The power of the human spirit, grit, persistence, passion, fucking hard-ass work in the face of the majority of everybody going against you, saying that you're wrong, you're not right. The only reason that surgery worked was because the elements of human that my father expressed, the power of the body to turn a tendon into the function of a ligament. Holy shit. Like, that's what we need to be talking about, but that was never brought up. Not in any sense of the word of this success story or what's going on. None of it. It was all overshadowed by Dr. Job, experimental surgery, America. Now, I get that it took Job, the doctor, to even think this way, but my Christ, medical innovation and breakthroughs in medicine or health or healing or scientific breakthroughs are only made possible because of the magical shit called human spirit, called our ability to adapt and thrive and evolve called the healing response, the regenerative capacity that's inside all of us, not just Tommy John in 1974. That's the most important part. And I'm sitting here and not one person brought it up. And I was this close to standing up and bringing attention to the work that my dad did in the face of nobody believing this was going to work. Nobody had faith. Nobody. Do any of you feel like you live a life where nobody understands it? Yeah, welcome to my fucking world. And I'm not talking about like, oh, just son. I'm talking about like every inch of your life and the principles that you live being antagonized by family, the masses, news, schools, history books, all this stuff. Just understand that breakthroughs in medicine, advances in medicine, technological advances in furthering human longevity, which that's the goal, right? As long as we're living longer, doesn't matter whether it's quality or not, or you're hooked up to tubes, or you're full of all these artificial fucking things, as long as you live longer than you're supposed to. That's breakthrough. Just don't put the human spirit in the back seat. And that's something I will not tolerate. And that's something I will fight for, and I will fight for. And there's people that have gotten at me and been like, the way you speak, you think your way is the only way? Well, no, because what I'm believing in are natural principles and laws. They're always going to be true, always, no matter what anybody believes, or no matter what's studied, or no matter where money is put in R&D, in experiments and everything else. Yeah, I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to sell a man-made product because it fails. Nobody needs it. There is no man-made product that anybody needs to survive. But I will promote as a life first, and then business, I will promote natural principles and laws of human and what it means to adapt and evolve as a human, and sovereignty and freedom as a human, and the true health of what humanity needs right now. Sure, you're not going to get me to waver. And it might sound godlike and all this stuff. Well, yeah, whatever you believe is God, or whatever you believe is the most powerful force, which is you and within everything around you, it's absolute. It's certain. And it will be true no matter what. Just like when the sun rises in the morning, that's what I have my faith in. That's what my convictions are in. That's how I live, and constantly pulling apart. But that's what's missing in this whole thing. And I'm at the fucking archives of the nation, the historical cash box safe of the nation, a cast that my father wore. The cast didn't heal him. Dr. Job didn't heal him. He did. Because if you go ahead and replace a ligament with a tendon in a fucking corpse, nothing happens. If you put it into a chimp, the chimp will be able to continue on, but could they do what he did? Probably not. But again, you can't disregard, and that's the lack of humility we have for the human spirit and the grit and the persistence of human and what it means to be a human. The lack of humility we have to put at the forefront of all this bullshit going on around us right now since 2020, and all the stuff from the history of histories of histories. That's what scares me the most. And so I was sitting there, and it was really, really upsetting, just because of how I live and what I stand for, listening to how they were talking about the success of my dad and the success of what it is called Tommy John surgery. No part of it was ever brought up that the human spirit that he had, the power of the human to be able to adapt and regenerate. They put a tendon in, and his body turned it into a ligament. That's why I don't need imaging if I'm going to work with somebody in a soft tissue injury. The tissue damage doesn't matter. The body adapts. It doesn't fucking matter. Holy shit. Like, that's case in point right there. And a surgery that's really not necessary. Because again, these torn ligaments, as I said, the body warns well before a ligament tears. And even when the ligament's torn, you can completely put your body into a position to be able to adapt to move forward. Totally. The story ended up working out, but only because of the work that my father did. Only because of the power of the human spirit, only because of the ability of the body to adapt. That's why it worked, and why it doesn't work in every single person. The body's going to go ahead and mend that little cut on the inside of the elbow, but whether or not that person totally takes their scenario and completely changes their life around that, drops all stories previous in the face of the masses coming at you, not everyone's had that success. And why I think it was truly the most successful surgery of all Tommy John surgeries, because there's no protocol. There was no medical standing up thinking they know. They literally let him lead the way to try to figure this whole thing out. I think that's wondrous and amazing, and needs to be brought up even more. But now we're so neck deep and knee deep in these protocols and the way it's supposed to happen, and each person goes through the same timeline and the same time frame and the same ingredients and the same holy shit, and it doesn't work the same, does it? No, because there's individuality in the human spirit and the beliefs that the practitioner and the beliefs of the patient. You got to be all in. You got to be all in one way of life. And there was nothing more powerful than principles of nature, principles and truth that are all around us at all times. And if you're antagonizing that, the body will let you know that you're antagonizing it. But just understand, medical breakthroughs, science, they're all going to follow the human spirit. They will not lead and break through. The human spirit has already done this. It's already happened in infinite levels, in infinite ways, worldwide. And we have that power inside of us. Every single one of you have that power inside of us. But again, I just wanted to bring to light this poignant moment in our family's lives, but my father's life, but even just humanity across the board. Shit. Anybody going to talk about that? And it wasn't brought up at all. And it was very telling just of where we are. Now they'll say, with all these medical breakthroughs and research and science, it's all to help further humanity. But if all we focused on, if we put money towards trying to measure the capacity of the human existence, trying to measure the capacity of will and determination and grit and the human spirit, we wouldn't need any of these medical breakthroughs. We wouldn't need any of these innovations. We wouldn't need to spend money on all this science. We could put it towards the actual power that made this whole thing possible. The human spirit. And there's no level, there's no measure to that. All right, I'm gonna go walk. Enjoy your day. Nothing stronger than the human spirit. Nothing. Infinite. A couple of PSs on that. Took from Dr. Cassie Huckabee. She put this, and it was so profound how she said it. With all breakthroughs in medical intervention and medical innovation and technology and these procedures and shit, the doctor inflicting this procedure or the group inflicting this will have faith that the cut that they do to perform their event will heal. But everything going on beneath the cut is random, is dysfunction, is sickness, is disease. There's no power and there's no sense to it. The body is flawed. It's attacking you. You lose. When you die, you lose a battle with your body. But they'll have faith that the cut's going to heal. But everything going on underneath, everything with the organs, everything with that mass, everything with that buildup, everything else, total disregard. That doesn't make much sense, and this is what I'm talking about. They'll put these breakthroughs ahead of the power of the body, one, the human spirit, and the power of the body to adapt to anything and regenerate and heal, because that's all it does. Oh, and then surgery. So something that we lose because we rely on protocols. If you choose to have a soft tissue surgery of any kind, a joint replacement, a disc cut out, scar tissue removed, a ligament, meniscus, whatever it is, you need to understand that you need to rehab 3, 4, 5-fold how I talk about rehab. Meaning you have to rehab the person who you were prior to the event because you weren't a person ready for the forces of life. So you have to rehab that person. You have to rehab the process of you being put under or drugs run through your body or anesthetized in any way. The trauma of them invading you with instruments and cutting and all that, and then the actual new tissue or new appliance or new prosthetic or whatever they put inside you, you have to rehab for the body to be able to take that and make that its new reality. So you have to reheal. Plus now you're living in a society that's leaping off a cliff for the sake of freedom and humanity, and called ascension, but they're just nosediving off a cliff because you live amongst all these people. You got to double that. So it's like 5 to 6 times how I talk about rehabbing injuries. If you choose to have surgery, it's totally fine, but you got to understand that if you do make that choice, you now have just put it on you to have to work that much harder. And I believe my father went through that just in his self-analysis, self-realization of all that, because there was no protocol set in place that was like, TJ, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it, this is how you're going to feel, this is what's going to happen. He went all on feel and all on his bodies leading the people behind him, where today we follow along behind somebody telling you how to live, and that's just not working out too well. So I just wanted to add those two things. P.S. Peace out.